So this is my latest piece. I'm very happy with it. It has, to my eye, a bit of a Japanese influence, like the gates and the walls I see in some of the Japanese gardens I've been in. My wife likes it. She said it looks to her like it should be rocking because it's very round along here, but it's actually flat on the bottom. So if you'd like to see how I designed this and how I put it together, I hope you'll stick around. So let's go do some woodwork and some wood turning. Well, I sat down with a ruler, pencil, and most important, an eraser, and I just started drawing patterns, trying to come up with something that I thought I might like to work on. This is what I came up with, and I cut all the walnut pieces for it. Got them sitting here, they're not glued together yet, and my next step is going to go and try to glue this up very carefully, see what I end up with, and then take it from there. I hope you'll stick around and watch. If you get 10 or 15 woodworkers together and start discussing how to remove glue squeeze out, you'll probably get 10 or 15 different ideas on the best way to do it. My personal preference is to use a wet cloth and just wipe out all the squeeze out as well as I can right away. But when you get into small spaces like this, that's pretty much impossible. So in that case, what I like to do is let it dry completely and then get in there with a very sharp chisel and try to get between the wood and the glue, trying not to scar up the wood too badly, taking my time, slowly and carefully doing it. So that's what I'll have to do when I'm finished all of this. So now I've got this much glued up. I just need to glue this to there and the whole thing will be glued up. Then it's a matter of cleaning up that glue and I'll be back. Now I will let this glue dry, clean up the mess, and then we'll find out just how good the glue job worked. On my last project that I called the staggered bowl, I used a threaded glue block and glued it on the center of the piece using hot melt glue. After that, I scraped it off as well as I could and then sanded off the remainder. Mac told me that I could use isopropyl alcohol to remove the glue with no residue. So I'm going to see how well I can do that. I've done a test piece here. Put the glue on this side, it's very well cured. Now I'm just going to take isopropyl alcohol, put it on a Q-tip, without spilling would have been better. Put it on here and just see if it'll work its way underneath that glue. And it looks like Mac is a genius. That came off there perfectly. So I'll be able to do that when I take the glue block off of here. I'm going to glue that on there now. And I'm very pleased with how this came out. I put it through the drum sander to clean up the two faces here, and I did all around the outside with my random orbit sander. So now I'm going to glue this on there and then take it over to the lathe, and I hope you'll meet me there. I'm ready to turn this now, and I have to turn it very, very light cuts, and I have to have a very sharp chisel, because this is only being held on there on 4 small spots. There's a glue dot on here, and here, and here, and here. I usually like to have glue as much as possible, but that's the only place where that glue block showed that I could put the glue on. Now imagine, if you will, that I went in there, tried to turn it with something like this knockout bar. When it came around and caught in there, it would tear it off that block very easily. In fact, if it was glued up real well, it would probably tear the whole thing apart. So obviously, I need my gouge to be extremely sharp, and as I said, light cuts. I'm going to be turning this at 1000 RPM, and I'm hoping you're not going to see a catastrophic failure here. All right, so far so good. I'm just going to continue. I'd like to bring the outside of the bowl out to, I believe, about the middle of this piece. Well, this is looking pretty good. I'm not looking to make a real deep bowl. I have to admit it's a little nerve-wracking turning in these areas, plunging down into that. But I'm pleased with the way it looks so far, and I might just take it just a little bit deeper, try to get a cleaner cut here, and then call it good for the top of the bowl. All right, I'm going to call that good. I'm going to sand this, and I'm going to figure out how I'm going to reverse this, and I'll be back. I'm just making sure that I sand with the grain. Finish this side, it's looking pretty good. I think I might go back and just touch it up a little better though. But this is 120 grit I started with. And I'll just work up a few grits. The top is only sanded to 180, so I won't bother going beyond that. I'm kind of happy with this so far. Now my question has been, what do I do with it next? I don't want to leave the bottom just flat like this. And I was actually thinking of drawing an arc on here and then taking it to the bandsaw and cutting it out. But that leaves it flat in here all the way. So what I've decided to do is to take some pieces of wood, poplar in this case, glue them on here, and then when the gouge comes around here, hopefully it will keep it from splitting out. It's going to be fine here, but in here it would want to split it. So I'm hoping that this backing board will help with that. I'm going to glue it with some brown paper in between, so that after I'm finished turning it, I should be able to split this off. The last thing I did, the staggered bowl, that worked really well, and I was using newsprint, but I've been advised by a number of people to try brown paper. It doesn't leave any of the stains from the ink on the newsprint on the wood. So I'm going to give that a try. I'll have one on each side here, and we'll see how that works. So I'm going to glue this up, and I'll be back. I normally like to turn something as fast as I can, safely. In this case, I'd really like to turn fast because if I'm cutting wood here, every time it comes around I'm cutting air. And that makes for rough cuts and just a little more difficult to do. So I'm going to be turning it at 1000 RPM, and I have got the tail stock brought up with the live center in there. The live center is not really touching. If I hold it, it doesn't even move. But it's there for support. If for some reason this wanted to come out, it'll keep it from coming off, flying all over the shop or causing me an injury. So now I'm going to get my face shield on, make sure this is at 1000 RPM. I'll leave this up here until I can get a few cuts. I can't do much cutting because this is in the way. Alright, it's doing some decent cuts. I think this backing board is really helping because there's a lot of chipping coming on here. So that's helping. You really feel the difference when it comes across here, jumping a little bit. I don't know if the camera was picking it up, but I had some real bouncing going on cutting across here. And I think I'm going to let that go right there, kind of like that. I want some flat for it to sit on, so I'm just going to do my pyrography, put my logo coin in there, and I'll go over and see what kind of luck I'm going to have breaking this away. I used 2 plies of brown paper. Someone had mentioned that newsprint works well because it's 2-ply. So I used 2 plies of the brown paper, and hopefully that will help it separate better. Okay, I'm going to sand this by hand and do that work there. Alright, last step is going to be finding the joint, getting this chisel between the walnut and the poplar. Alright, that went very well. Now it'll be a matter of just cleaning the paper off, sanding the sides, and this will be finished. I'll be back to show you the finished product. I may have told you this before, And it's probably going to sound like I'm just bragging, but I may not be the best turner in town, but I'm real good with sandpaper. Well, I'm real happy with this, and I'm going to use oil on it. It'd be very difficult to get any kind of finish like lacquer or poly in these grooves. So I'm just going to give it a bath in mineral oil. I'll be back. And that's it, it's finished. 2 coats of mineral oil, seems to be lots, soaked in real good. It's not perfect. One of the problems is that you can't always see that the glue is not fully removed until you put on the oil or finish. And there are some spots in there that are not as well done as I would like, but you know, if you look at this from 30 or 40 feet away, it doesn't show up that badly. Well, I want to thank you for stopping by today. If you like this, I hope you'll hit the like button, share it with others if you wish, and don't forget to subscribe. If you do subscribe, hit the little notification bell beside the subscribe button. So until next time, have a great day in your shop and be safe. I hope you'll come back again. Take care now.